Well, good afternoon to you. 406 here, News Talk 105.9 WMAL, where we're making sense of the news. Coming up today, Brent Bazell joins us. He's the founder and president of the Media Research Center. We'll talk to him about the most outrageous media moments of the year. There was a lot to sort through. Brent will share the results with us. And David Strum is here today from Hot Air. We'll talk about the left's efforts to destroy our norms, our democracy, and our dogs. Yes, you heard me correctly. And you can join us at 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. Nikki Haley's been on the campaign trail lately. She's having some success in New Hampshire, but for the most part, everybody's getting walloped by the man who won't even go to the debates, Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the far-ahead frontrunner in this race, not only for the primary, but at the moment for president of the United States in the general election as well. Nikki Haley's been using a common line, though, across all of these many campaign stops. My next guest has noticed it. Let me share with you some of these. Here's Nikki Haley in November in South Carolina saying that chaos follows Donald Trump.
I was proud to serve America in his administration, and I agree with a lot of his policies. But the truth is, rightly or wrongly, chaos follows him. You know I'm right. Chaos follows him. We have too much division in this country and too many threats around the world to be sitting in chaos once again.
And here's Nikki Haley in December saying the same thing in South Carolina.
I had a good working relationship with him when I was at the United Nations. I agree with a lot of his policies. But rightly or wrongly, chaos follows him. Chaos follows him. You know I'm right. And we can't have a country in disarray and a world on fire and go through 4 more years of chaos. We won't survive.
And Nikki Haley earlier this week in an interview with CBN News.
I had a good working relationship with him. But rightly or wrongly, chaos follows him. We all know that. Chaos follows him. And we can't be
has been part of that.
But we can't be a country in disarray and have a world on fire and make it through 4 years of chaos. We can't. I said rightly or wrongly. So it could be, all I know is we need stability.
The man who called my attention to this is my next guest, Mark Hemingway. He's a book editor over at The Federalist, and he has a column up on this very subject today. Mark, good afternoon to you and Merry Christmas. Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you. Good to be talking to you again, Vince.
Yes, sir. Nice to have you. So what do you make of this line of attack from Nikki Haley? Obviously, the Republican candidates are trying to distinguish themselves from Trump and make an argument that they should be the pick and not him. Is this a good line of attack, or is she missing something?
So I'm sympathetic. Obviously, if you're trying to compete against Trump in a primary, you've got to find a line of attack against a guy that doesn't alienate the electorate. That is, the large section of the Republican electorate that's obviously attached to him. He's leading heavily. You need to win over those voters. But this line of attack, I just find incredibly misreads the moment and incredibly misreads voter sentiment. The thing about it that gets me, she says, rightly or wrongly, chaos follows him. Now, the wrongly part of that is doing a lot of heavy lifting, right? It was rather chaotic that, the FBI launched an investigation, into him treasonously colluding with Russia to steal an election. It was based on nothing that, upended politics and was the major news story for his entire presidency, even though it was completely based on, terrible sources and false information. Those people need to be held accountable. That's a much bigger problem than, whether or not chaos follows Trump. You're just rewarding the people that are creating the chaos.
Yes.
To control politics. And that's what's, frustrating to me. It's like there are forces in American life, from the media to the deep state to whatever, that are acting in concert to create chaos, right? And then they're just manipulating voters with it. They can create the chaos and then they can turn it down to incentivize you to do whatever you want.
And also, this is the same machine who practiced this type of these dark arts against people like George W. Bush. They did it against John McCain. They did it against Mitt Romney. They did it against Donald Trump. And they will do it in the most extreme versions against whoever it is becomes the Republican nominee, Trump, Nikki Haley, or anybody else. In other words, like what she's saying is remarkably naive to think that Trump is the only character that will be targeted by this type of nefarious behavior.
Completely agree, 100%. I mean, if you just look at all of the things that happened in Trump's presidency, I mean, you mentioned the stuff that happened, under Bush's presidency. Remember, Mitt Romney's campaign, for crying out loud. I mean, they said Mitt Romney was a, dog abusing, gay bullying, felon who was giving people cancer. I mean, that was what they did in the campaign. I mean, like, this is just absolutely insane that you would reward these people by, just saying, oh, well, we just need to shunt this guy aside so that we can get back to normalcy in politics. It's so wrong. And more than that, I just think it's going to alienate a lot of voters who intuitively understand what this is about. The most resonant thing, like maybe it's not the most memorable, but maybe the most resonant thing that's been said in the 21st century in politics was Trump's comment about, they're not after me, they're after you, I'm just in the way. I think Americans feel that acutely, and they understand exactly what's going on here.
Yes.
They don't like Trump because they don't like his immigration policy, they don't like his foreign policy, they don't like all these things that Trump wanted to do that the people wanted, but the Washington establishment didn't want. And that's where we're at.
And I would say one of the other most revealing quotes was when Chuck Schumer says that if you go after the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday to get back at you. I mean, the fact that he said that out loud is, I think, remarkable, and another clear indication that this is not conventional in any sense. This is not about a battle of ideas. This is about the left using power to crush its political opposition.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And if you've seen what's just happening in, recent days and weeks, I mean, throwing Trump off the ballot in Colorado because, removing him from the ballot is what's going to save democracy. Disenfranchising the 1.3 million people in Colorado that voted for Trump last time around, that's good for democracy. They don't care about these things. They're willing to do any extra legal thing that they feel that they can get away with in order to have their way. Yeah. And, to just say that, we just need to get back to a calmer place in politics by shunting Trump off the stage, that's not how it's going to work at all. I mean, yes. There's an argument that maybe Trump isn't the best guy to go after these people, to put these people in their place. But, saying that, Trump is getting rid of Trump and appeasing these people is the way to, get things back on track is bananas as far as I'm concerned.
Definitely. And look, so normal people all throughout the Republican base, a lot of them, millions of them, all recognize exactly what you're saying with clarity. But why don't these other candidates? So these guys who are running to become the Republican nominee, they'd be much more appealing if more of them sounded like, let's say, Vivek Ramaswamy does on this subject. Like Vivek instantly came out this week after that Colorado decision and denounced it and said he's voluntarily removing his own name from the primary ballot until they restore Trump's, that it's completely authoritarian. They shouldn't be doing this. The rest of the candidates, the Republican candidates, all came out with tepid, finger-wagging statements directed at the Colorado Supreme Court, but they really couldn't rise to meet the moment, which is you've got to call this tyranny out and you've got to aggressively fight back.
Oh, yeah, no, that's exactly right. And like that alone explains, Vivek's success thus far. I mean, he's the only candidate in the race. I mean, I would say DeSantis has to some, extent acknowledged that there's this, deep state malfeasance that is happening. But you're right. Vivek is the one who's really been aggressive on it. And, accordingly, this guy, he went from being a complete nobody to being, a serious contender in Republican politics simply because he recognizes this basic truth that so many voters do. And it's so crazy that, you have people like Nikki Haley who are, have been part of, the Republican party, royalty for, a decade or more, not having any sense of where voters are on this question. And it just really tells you a lot about why so many, quote, Republican voters actually hate Republicans.
Yes. I think, Nikki Haley she's not super popular certainly among the most diehard Trump supporters for sure, but also anybody who's really examined her ideology and the way that she's dealt with real world experiences is going to be very skeptical of her. She often falls for a lot of the racial panics in the country. She'll instantly take the side of the left, and then it'll later come out that, that was kind of idiotic to take their side, but she did it reflexively in any number of cases, whether it's George Floyd, race panics in South Carolina, on and on and on. The Bubba Wallace thing, she instantly was on board with that. She's like, oh my gosh, there's a noose hanging in the garage. And I was like, wait a second. Is that true? Because it sounded so weird. They sent every FBI agent in the bureau down there and they're like, oh no, it was a garage door pull. But she fell for it. And then, of course, there's the chipping away at her that I think Vivek has done very successfully, which is to point out that she's kind of in the pocket of all of the defense contractors. And man, it doesn't seem like a coincidence that she's very interested in war. Do you think she's got a strong place in this Republican primary for real?
I don't. I mean, I think that there's this issue of so many people are desperate to, for whatever reason, to get away from Trump. I mean, I understand why people are wary of Trump for lots of reasons, and so they're just casting about for any alternative. But the idea that you'd settle on Nikki Haley, given where the electorate is just, crazy to me. You pointed out a lot of really good reasons. She is clearly way too cozy with the Washington establishment and the military-industrial complex, and are, very much for an interventionist foreign policy that I think the Republican voters, were rejected, and specifically, embraced Trump because he was the first guy in Republican politics to come along and try and move us away from that. And you talked about the falling for the woke nonsense or whatever. I mean, even now she's basically running an identity politics campaign. I mean, she's the Republican version of Hillary Clinton in terms of the way she talks about girl power and women, and that line in the debate about her shoes or whatever it was. I mean, it's just her heels. I mean, it's nonsense, and it's just profoundly frustrating to think a lot of Republican voters who are rejecting this stuff out of hand. And here is Nikki Haley embracing the establishment, embracing identity politics, and running as a Republican. I don't know what the market for that is.
Yeah. Okay. So, but her big bet is on New Hampshire, and it looks like she's got some tailwind right now that's succeeding there. Do you think that matters very much? If she, I've seen some claims today that, oh man, she could even win this thing. Even if that were the case, do you think she would? Is it possible for her to even gain the momentum to be a meaningful threat to Trump's nomination?
Well, look, I mean, I kind of got out of the political prediction game in 2016 precisely because of what Donald Trump did.
Sure.
Anything, I would never say never, in terms of politics, obviously, for no other reason than, hey, Trump is not a young man, for instance, something could happen, even though he appears a lot more spry and healthy than, say, Joe Biden. But, there's incentives to stay in the race for sure at this point in time. But, nothing I've seen in terms of, my spidey sense to, the actual, polling numbers suggests to me that, any other candidate in this primary has a chance other than Donald Trump. And ironically, this, for this chaos follows him remark, the more that they pull this nonsense in Colorado and the more that they proceed with these, crazy lawsuits and criminal charges against Trump, the more that people rally around him. I just don't see in that climate, someone finding another way to knock Trump off the leaderboard there.
Yeah. No, I do think there's a lot of wish casting going on right now about Nikki Haley. It's like, oh my goodness, she could be the. I don't think so. But I've been wrong before. Definitely when it comes to political predictions. Hey, thank you very much, Mark Hemingway. Merry Christmas to you, and a programming note related to you. I'm going to see your wife on the special report panel this evening, which I'm always really thrilled to be alongside Molly Hemingway for that. So, Mark, thank you for just being great and for having a great family and for being here today. Thank you, sir.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Vince. Merry Christmas.
Good to talk to you. Merry Christmas to you. It is 4:20 now. Let's go to the phones. We've got Rick calling in on line 1. Rick in Reston. Good afternoon, Rick.
Hey, Vince. Thank you for taking my call, and Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas.
I was calling to add a little bit more to what you and Mark were talking about, the phrase rightly or wrongly, doing a lot of heavy lifting there. Galileo was thought to bring chaos. Joan of Arc, past the country, thought Abraham Lincoln brought chaos. I'm not making direct comparisons between these personages, but, a chaos bringer whose chaos is caused by the reaction from the people that they're upending the orthodox of. That's a different issue. And it's such a big distinction that shame on her for just blithely passing over that and offering it like it's a.
Well, that's such a great point. That's such a great point. So in other words, Trump and the people who voted for him have been very disruptive to the status quo. Washington had grown very fat and comfortable, yet it wasn't, but it wasn't serving the American people. And so Trump gets elected, and it does throw Washington into chaos, that's for sure. And so, the left likes to use this phrase, good trouble. Boy, did Trump bring a lot of that, didn't he?
Or creative destruction, right. And the reaction as soon as the phrase deep state started to be tossed around in, early 2017, I think, that reaction was also quite telling about whose ox was at risk of being gored at that point. So anyway, thanks for taking my call.
Rick, thank you very much, and Merry Christmas to you. That's a smart point as we talk about chaos. In fact, Ed in Burke on line 2 wants to talk about chaos. Ed, good afternoon. You're on the Vince Coglianese Show.
Hey, Thanks, Vince. Merry Christmas. Sure. I just want
Likewise.
to say you're a true gentleman, and any compliments you get on what you do, well deserved.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Revelations from Nikki Haley that Trump is chaos. Wow. Follows him. I never knew that. Chaos is his middle name. I love chaos. I love Trump. And she needs to figure out, why is it with a guy that has so much chaos following him is so freaking populist? Her and the left can't figure that out. In a close election, fair election, no one comes close. No one will beat him.
It is kind of funny to tell an audience, be like, "Hey, if you elect Trump, it might come with some drama." Yeah, we know. we've been to this rodeo before. It's not our first. Ed, thank you very much. This is a smart point, and really appreciate the call. Merry Christmas to you. I've got Daniel calling in from Annapolis now, line 4. Daniel, you're on the Vince Coglianese Show. Hello.
Hey, good afternoon, Vince. You just made a comment that the more they go after Trump, the more people rally around him. I got another mail solicitation from the Trump campaign, and I contributed another $100 to it, and I added a note. I said, thanks to the Colorado Supreme Court, here's another $100 donation. So every time they go after him for something, I'm going to send another donation. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. You know, it's funny. Every time I read news coverage of all of these legal cases against Trump, every time I'm reading a story that are like, despite all of the charges against Trump, more and more people keep supporting him. I'm like, no. That's not despite. You're getting this wrong. You're getting this completely wrong. Because of all of the charges against Trump, there's more and more support for him. They're so upset that he's defying the gravity of a smear campaign that they're furious about it. And then you get a bunch of people like Daniel. Daniel, like, you donate more every time they attack him.
Correct. Yep. And he's the only candidate I've contributed money to, and I'll continue to do so the more they go after him.
Boy, he really has activated a lot of people, hasn't he? All right, Daniel, thank you. Interesting. Very interesting strategy here. Yeah, and it is a way to go back and fight back against the left here. Oh, you're going to be tyrannical and you're going to attack the guy? Well, I'm going to donate to him. And then it's amazing. You hear guys like Chris Christie will come out and will say, look at Trump spending all this money on legal bills. Do you really want a candidate who's spending all their money on legal bills? That's what the left is doing. They're literally targeting him to drain his war chest, Chris Christie. That's the game plan. And then you get people like Daniel come in and go, I'll help the war chest. I'll help defend him. Good for Daniel. God bless him. Merry Christmas to Daniel. Coming up on the program, we've got, still have so much more ahead. We've got Brent Bizzell is going to be with us. That'll be fun. We'll talk about the craziest media moments of the year. There are a ton to go through. And David Strom is here from Hot Air, as the left does not like dogs. Who doesn't like dogs? Democrats. They don't like dogs. It's ahead. Well, good afternoon to you. It is 4:35 here. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, where we are making sense of the news. Coming up on the program, from the Media Research Center, Brent Bizzell takes off some of the craziest moments on the news media this year. We've got some wild ones for you ahead. Brent and the Media Research Center guys have done a great job pulling all this together. And then David Strom will be here at 5:30 from Hot Air as he chat with him about the left's efforts to destroy both our, quote, democracy and their attacks on our best friends. Man's best friend. The dog. Why are they attacking dogs? You can join us at 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. Well, yeah, the left is on a tyrannical streak. Stephen Colbert on his television program last night, which still exists and still has some viewers. I think more in-studio viewers these days than on television. But they were there. They had a studio audience. Stephen Colbert's show, they were celebrating the fact that Donald Trump was thrown off the Colorado ballot. Now, I don't know if the news travels slowly or something, because this happened days ago, and they decided to do this on yesterday's program. But Stephen Colbert was dancing on the show to the fact that the left is interfering in the election. And he got the audience absolutely cheering this. They're all lefties, too, because you basically would have to be to, like, line up in the cold for tickets for Stephen Colbert. Take a listen to this last night.
December 21st is the shortest day of the year. Happy winter solstice, everybody. Right? Unless you've got seasonal affective disorder, in which case, hang in there. Tomorrow is going to be 3 seconds longer. For my pagan viewers, happy Saturnalia. One popular solstice tradition is to dance around a bonfire, but I already did my drunken fire dance 2 nights ago when Colorado kicked Trump off the ballot. Fun fact.
And they're all cheering. Everybody's cheering. Yay! The end of democracy. Yay! They're all like, they're super excited. And of course, obviously, you know, a little bit of it is scripted because when you go to these shows, they have applause signs that tell you when you're supposed to clap. And so everyone's clapping. The sign's lighting up. Hey, clap the end of our democracy, the end of our constitutional republic, to be more specific, but a democratic system. Clap, applaud. Yeah! Everyone's cheering. You know what's funny? I watched it, not funny, but strange, bizarre. The thing that started rattling through my head as I saw this morning, I was watching this clip, and I was like, oh my gosh. There's this, I can't believe that this is the quote that came to mind, but it was. There's a Star Wars episode, I think it was episode 3, The Revenge of the Sith, when the evil Emperor Palpatine, he takes over the entire galactic Senate, and he decides that it's done. Like, democratic systems need to be done entirely. And the whole crowd, everyone in the Senate is applauding. I think this is the greatest thing ever. And it's so funny because he's like so obviously evil to the point that they included his voice sounds like this when he's speaking. He's like totally evil. And Natalie Portman's character responds with, I think, one of the great lines in the whole Star Wars saga. This is what it sounded like.
In order to ensure the security and continuing stability, the Republic will be reorganized into the first galactic empire for a safe and secure society.
So this is how liberty dies, with thunderous applause.
So this is how liberty dies, with thunderous applause. That's what I heard. I was listening. I was like, Stephen Colbert is like celebrating as they're throwing Trump. I hate Trump. Don't let people vote for him.
My pagan viewers, happy Saturnalia. One popular solstice tradition is to dance around a bonfire, but I already did my drunken fire dance 2 nights ago when Colorado kicked Trump off the ballot. Fun fact.
The only thing that's wrong about Natalie Portman's description is, I don't know if that would be thunderous applause. Maybe choose a different adjective, but it is some kind of applause. Some kind of applause. Anyway, that's what would happen last night at Stephen Colbert. And it's like the whole left, they're all like this. Like, you know, The View, all the lefty commentators are like, what's wrong with this? That makes total sense. Yeah, throw him off the ballot. Why would we let people vote for him? We'll get rid of him faster. Joy Behar saying that this week. They're all like this. They're all like this. Oh. Meanwhile, before they become media people doing the bidding of the Democrats, they are usually college students doing the bidding of the Democrats. There's an excellent online guy. This guy's online. I've seen his videos a bunch. He's named Ami Horowitz, and he goes into all sorts of places all across America and just does these man-on-the-street interviews with people and asks people, you know, just what are their real thoughts on all sorts of things. And it's super interesting, super helpful. And unfortunately, in this case, he interviewed a bunch of San Francisco State University students, pretty left-wing, and he asked them about whether or not they would donate to a cause to kill Jews. Ami Horowitz, as you might imagine, is a Jewish man. And he asked, would you support an effort to go kill the Jews? Unfortunately, the answer to that was all too frequently, yes.
I'm Ami Horowitz, and anti-Semitism is rising precipitously across the globe. How bad is it? I'm here at San Francisco State University, one of the most left-leaning intersectional schools in the country. I'm here to raise money to kill Jews. We want to fund operations against soft targets. Schools, hospitals, Jewish cafes, hospitals, Jewish schools, Jewish buses.
They're going between all the students he's speaking to, so the video keeps jumping to each person. And he's just making his case. Yeah, we want to attack schools and hospitals and bus stations.
That kind of thing. Targets that can make them really feel it, attack, blow things up.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
We have to strike back.
Yeah,
We can't
I definitely agree.
All we have are rockets and suicide bombers and that kind of thing. The suicide bomber.
Because it's like part of their religion, like they want it to take over.
People are evil in these worlds, so you know what I mean.
That's what we have to strike back.
Yeah, most definitely.
So you think it's economic, or you think it's the religion motivating them?
I think it's a mix.
Keeping them controlled with like genocide. A lot of people think they're superior to others, you know what I mean? So they think
they're superior?
Yeah, a lot of them think that.
Supremacy?
I think their behavior and the actions are evil.
You know, this goes to, you know what they're vocalizing? A lot of people think they're superior to others, and therefore they should be destroyed. Is that what you're saying? What are you saying exactly? Because this is critical theory. This is critical theory. This is an operating philosophy on the left, which is that the goal should not be to build people up. The goal should be to tear people down. And we were talking at some length yesterday with Victor Davis Hanson about this, which, you know, was a very deeply useful conversation for me, and I hope it was for you as well. If you didn't hear that interview, please go find it or share it with a friend or family member. Victor Davis Hanson yesterday on the Vince Coglianese show. We have it up on the podcast, obviously. But he was talking about that this has always been the way of the left, certainly. And you're seeing it in such in such an obvious way right now, which is that there's so much disorder going on in the lives of these leftists, and they're trying to evangelize that disorder. They want other people to be disordered. And that's why everything is so confusing. That's why they're constantly throwing us into chaos around every issue. It's totally destructive. And it'll cripple our society unless we can overcome it. And here you have these students in schools who are taking seriously the idea. Some random stranger comes up to them, Ami Horowitz. They don't know who Ami Horowitz is. He comes up to them and he's like, hey, would you donate money to an effort to kill Jews? Well, we'll just target them at hospitals and bus stations and schools. You know, soft targets, he says. Well, suicide bombers, whatever it takes. We have to stop them because they're the oppressors. They're the people who think that they're better than us, that we have to go after them, says Ami Horowitz. And these students are all like, yeah, that sounds good to me. In fact, I totally agree with you. Some people think they're better. Some people think they're better than everyone else, and they should be taken down a notch.
They're superior to others, you know what I mean? So they think
they're superior?
Yeah, a lot of them think that.
Supremacy?
I think their behavior and the actions are evil.
Says they want the land. It's a money thing.
I don't know. I'm just heading to class.
You agree with what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
One person, and that wasn't even a brave response. It was just like, I don't really want to talk to you. He was like, I don't know. I'm heading to class. I'm telling you, that is the only moment in the video where you had somebody who didn't endorse what Ami Horowitz was, of course. I don't know, how do I describe it? He was fictionally advancing. He's not really for killing Jews. He's a Jewish man trying to make a point here of what these students would sign on to, just how radical they are. Just a single student was like, I don't even want to talk to you. I'm going to class.
Yes, I would totally be down.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, bro, I agree with you.
I mean, you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
By hitting these targets.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. But I like what you're saying. I would love to help.
You want us to spread the word too? Or?
Spread the word for sure. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
God bless you.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't have money to give, but if you need word
But
of mouth,
moral support you can give me.
Yeah.
And just spread the message.
Like promotions, like putting on a story or something.
How much money would you
promotion on a story?
Tax deductible?
A couple bucks.
Like $5.
So $5? Like $5.
$5?
Well, yeah, 5, 10. I'll probably do like $5.
$5 is great. 10?
Yeah, like 5 to 10. Like $15 right now.
Say $15.
That'd be amazing.
These are stingy genocidal maniacs, aren't they? I thoroughly support you. I think we should kill Jews, but the best I can do is $5 right now. Get me later. maybe I'll have another $5. What is this? I mean, these kids are so lost. They're so lost. And of course, some of them offer a little bit more.
$20 probably.
That'd be great.
Cool 20.
20? Come on, brother. Come on.
He hugs him.
I don't really have a job right now, so
okay.
I would do like maybe $20.
20 bucks.
I'd do 20.
20 bucks.
Or 30.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Peace and love.
Yes.
Peace and love. Peace and love. Peace and love.
Thank you.
Peace and love.
Yeah, just evil. Straight up evil.
I couldn't have said it better myself. The rhetoric and demonizing Jews we have seen globally has led to this. 28 out of 35 people that I engaged in conversation with expressed support for what I was doing. And 17 out of 35, nearly 50% of people I spoke with,
oh my gosh,
offered me money to kill Jews.
Oh, it is so insane. And if you had played this for me a couple years ago, I would have been like, that was probably very selectively edited. Come on, there can't be that many people who would sign on to that. They sure are. We're seeing it. It's not the first time we see it all over the place. But he did go to, by his own admission, he said he went to a pretty left-wing place, San Francisco State University. And everyone's nuts, it turns out. Everyone's crazy. And unfortunately hateful, very bigoted. So that's Ami Horowitz is finding. Of course, it's not limited to San Francisco State University. We've seen this type of crazy on Harvard's campus. And some of these elite universities, their presidents were all testifying before Congress recently, you know now. And they were asked, like, hey, would calling for the genocide of Jews violate your code of conduct? And not a single one of them could say that it would. Not a single one. They couldn't even condemn it. They were like, well, it would depend on the context. Well, the Harvard president, Claudine Gay, was one of those three who was testifying before Congress, who gave those terrible answers. And I've been giving you updates here on all of the other problems she has in her career, and they involve her stealing quite a bit of the academic research that she has claimed to produce through the years. And so with each passing day, we get more and more evidence that she stole other people's work to form the body of her academic output, which in other words means she didn't do it. At least in a healthy percentage of it wasn't hers. Belonged to other people entirely, and she just stole it and then didn't give them credit. And so we've got stories now that the Harvard president has requested even more corrections to her academic work as plagiarism accusations mount. Daily Caller headline. She's requesting another 3 corrections to her PhD dissertation following multiple plagiarism allegations. The Harvard Crimson, the local student newspaper, has been covering a lot of this. Gay submitted 2 corrections to academic articles Friday, today, involving quotation marks and citations, but was the subject of fresh plagiarism allegations on Tuesday. Now Gay is submitting additional corrections following a review undertaken by the Harvard Corporation, which is the university's highest governing board. Now, there's something interesting about this Harvard Corporation, the governing board at Harvard. Did you know that the top official on the Harvard Corporation is the former United States Secretary of Commerce under Barack Obama, Penny Pritzker? So the most powerful official at Harvard, the most powerful official on the board that oversees Harvard, including deciding who the president is run by an Obama official, Penny Pritzker. Interesting. So what is Obama's role in all of this? Well, I'm glad you asked. Obama's involvement in this story now coming out. He tried to keep it a secret, but we know about it, and we'll share it with you. The news outlet Jewish Insider has an update today on the Harvard saga. Harvard controversy casts spotlight on Penny Pritzker, former Obama official atop university board. Matthew Castle on the byline here saying, even as Harvard continues to stand behind its embattled president, Claudine Gay, amid mounting backlash over her handling of campus anti-Semitism and new accusations of plagiarism, Penny Pritzker, who helms the university's highest governing body, has so far remained conspicuously silent, drawing fresh scrutiny to her role atop the administration. Pritzker, the billionaire Chicago hotel scion and former Obama administration official, was elected senior fellow of the Harvard Corporation last year, months after she had donated $100 million to the university. Holy cow. So $100 million buys you the top spot on the Harvard board. In her new position, she personally led the search committee that named Claudine Gay as president last December, and she praised her in an announcement at the time as a, quote, remarkable leader who is profoundly devoted to sustaining and enhancing Harvard's academic excellence. How'd that work out? Notwithstanding her initial enthusiasm, Pritzker has in recent weeks avoided personally defending the newly installed president, who has faced calls to resign. Instead, she joined a statement signed by the 11 members of Harvard's top board, which has been criticized for a lack of transparency. So there's Pritzker. So Pritzker's gone silent. She's trying not to say anything about any of this. And she's been trying to keep the donors from fleeing Harvard in the process, they say, behind the scenes. But they write further down in the piece, they write something interesting about Obama's involvement here. They write, to some observers, Pritzker's silence amid the fallout has been particularly glaring because she has long been regarded as a staunch supporter of Israel. The 64-year-old Jewish entrepreneur and philanthropist from Chicago, whose brother J.B., that's right, J.B. Pritzker, is the governor of Illinois, was one of Barack Obama's earliest and most important financial backers and has been credited with persuading Jewish and pro-Israel donors to support his first presidential campaign, despite skepticism over his approach to Middle East policy. In other words, Obama constantly made things easier for Iran. He sucked up to Iran all the time so they could continue their terror campaign of killing Jews. And Jewish Democrats in the country were unsure if they liked that particular policy. And Ms. Pritzker was involved in convincing them, oh, no, support Obama. It's going to be totally fine. Going to be totally fine. According to a source familiar with the matter, Obama, a Harvard graduate, had privately lobbied on Gay's behalf as she faced pressure to resign in the wake of her disastrous appearance before the congressional hearing on anti-Semitism. Quote, it sounded like people were being asked to close ranks to keep the broader administration stable, including its composition. The source, who was informed of Obama's outreach and asked to speak anonymously to discuss a confidential matter, told Jewish Insider on Tuesday. Obama's office did not respond to a request for comment from Jewish Insider. It is unclear if Pritzker, who served as Obama's Commerce Secretary in his second term, spoke with the former president as the Harvard Corporation was deliberating over his decision to support Gay. Well, there's no question. Obviously he did. And Obama putting his hands into this process is yet again the latest example of the left doing whatever Obama says. So Claudine Gay is guilty of stealing a bunch of other people's work. She's guilty of being a bad leader. She's guilty of not being able to easily condemn anti-Semitism. She's guilty of a whole bunch of things. She's unimpressive, and she's the head of Harvard as the president. And Obama is protecting her. It's like during the 2020 election when Obama forced every Democrat to get out of the race so that Joe Biden could be given the presidency. He said, get out now. They all did. Lickety split. They're out in no time. And so Obama's hand involved here. So yet another gay scandal for Obama, this time involving Harvard. A little wordplay for you. Claudine Gay is her name. Yes, I know. Hey, coming up on the program, we're going to talk about the worst media moments of the year with Brent Bazell. He and his team at the Media Research Center have sorted through all of them, and we'll share their amazing results in just a moment. Stay with us here on The Vince Coglianese Show.